Recording in progress.
Jump inside the sub
and buckle on in.
Open your mind,
because it's time to dive into
3, 2, 1.
the deep end.
The deep end.
Welcome to the deep end.
The deep end.
The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
Deep, man.
Too deep, brah.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 19.
What up? Welcome. We have a special guest for you today. We have my friend Abby.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Abby is actually the one that taught me how to do past life regression. She's here today to chat with us and tell us some cool stories of her journey along the way.
Yes, we are excited to have you here, Abby. What up?
It's time for a vibe check.
Vibe check. It's a vibe.
Vibes all day.
I'm digging your vibe, baby.
We're each going to pull some oracle cards to read what is the vibe of the week.
Hell yeah, let's see what the current energetic vortex has for us today.
I pulled from the Oracle of the Unicorns deck, and oh, this is cute. It's a little bunny sitting in a unicorn's hair, and it's friendship. Seek out your soul family. Surround yourself with positive people. Spend more time socializing. That's perfect.
That's cute. I love that.
So I am going to pull from a deck called Territorial. And what I pulled was the High Priestess. So it says, listen to your gut, meditate, reflect, and turn inward as the answers are within you. You're headed towards a period of growth. It also says intuition, inner voice, mystery, divine wisdom.
I love that. That's perfect.
Yeah, this one's good. Or that one's good. Sorry, I'm like trying to go with mine too. I'm like, Okay, so I'm drawing from the usual, the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. I drew the Queen, the Empress, the Mother, the Sovereign. Like her counterpart, the King, the Queen has a dualistic nature. Either she presides over the realm with grace and eloquence that comes from the heavens to uplift the spirit of others, or she falls into petty, contemptuous moods, casting a shadow across the land. If the king is the ego, the queen is the expression of that ego in the world. She is the lotus's bloom, the dancer's bow, the moon's radiant reflection. When the queen is seated in her rightful and righteous place, she is patient and forgiving. She waits for the grace of God and goddesses to move through her, striving and grasping for nothing. To be the benevolent leader, to embody the queen, is to settle into deep trust, resolve, and power. The royal queen fears nothing, for divinity itself cradles her heart. Hell yeah, I love that one.
Abby, would you like to tell us and our listeners a little bit about your journey and how you got started in past life regression work?
Yeah, absolutely. So trying to think, it's been probably about 4 years ago now. Honestly, I was just scrolling on TikTok one night. And I came across a video of somebody talking about how they had just had a past life regression done. And he was so like, you know how clients are when they first have their regression done. They're excited and they can't believe it and they just want to talk about it. Okay. So he was in that mode. And I was like, well, this sounds crazy. So he mentioned the creator that did the regression. So then I went to her page and I was up for hours. just watching all of her videos. I was like awestruck. He mentioned Dolores Cannon. Then I went down another hole. And I think I read a ton of like the Dolores Cannon books and then others. But I did that for like 6 months, trying to like figure out what I was so interested in about this. The one thing I'll mention is that night on TikTok that I first heard about this, my entire body like lit up in goosebumps. And I don't mean like just like the simple goosebumps that you get on your arm. I mean like the goosebumps that are so
It makes
strong.
your body shake.
Yes. And like they're on the top of your head, on the back of your neck. Like you look down and you can see them on your legs, on top of your feet. I've never in my life experienced a reaction like that. That is the only time I have ever experienced that reaction. Oh. And I think that's what made me continue like, oh, well, that's kind of a weird, like, I'm going to keep looking. I took Dolores Cannon's QHHT course. And I mean, I loved it. It was awesome. She is a wonderful teacher. I would have loved to have met her in real life. So I did that. And, her class they're very, she's very strict in her guidelines and they don't waver from it at all. You're not allowed to do online sessions. It can only be done in person. You have to do really like 25 or 26 sessions total before you can even get your certificate, like showing that you took the course, which I mean, it's really, really good practice. Dolores Cannon, the way that she teaches is that this is an all day event. You spend 3 or 4 hours just chatting with them and getting to know them and getting to know about their life. And then you spend the last 2 to 3 hours doing the session. That's exhausting.
Yeah.
Not only is it exhausting for like me as a practitioner, but my clients, no, they couldn't handle it. Like we would get through the talk and then they would say like, we're going to have to reschedule this for another day because they're like, I'm going to fall asleep if you try to put me under, which rightfully so. We just spent 3 hours talking, right?
Right.
So I did those. I got my certificate and I really loved doing it. But I live in southern Missouri. So to give you an idea, I live like in a spot of Missouri where I'm right on the corner of like Missouri and Arkansas. Like where all three of them touch. And Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. So I am literally in the Southern Bible Belt. I live in a town. It's quiet. I love it. I'm not going to knock it, but there are more churches in my town than there are anything. Okay. I couldn't find anybody locally that wanted to do this. And so I was talking to a girl on TikTok that I met. She was a channeler and she was amazing. She doesn't do it anymore, but she blew me away at her channeling. And she's like, well, have you heard of BQH? No. What is that? No. She's like, well, it's one of Dolores's students who created a modality and she teaches you how to do it remotely. And so I went and I took it and something just clicked for me with the remote sessions. And I remember I started doing them remotely from like all of my friends that I had. I sold makeup for years and all of the stupid marketing things that I like run from now. I had a lot of people that were interested in doing them. So I did, I don't know, probably 100 free sessions before I really got my groove. And I started posting them on TikTok. And it just went viral, honestly, from there. But it's funny because the video that went viral, it really only went viral because I was very new and I was leading the questions like you wouldn't believe. But it got 1 million views.
Like how so? What was
Like
what
people
was
were
the
talking
session?
crap or
Like what? Well, and what
yeah.
was the session about? Like what was?
So
how did it go down?
in the session, we were talking about like parallel universes. And essentially, I was asking like this or that questions rather than leaving it open ended, like what color is your hair? I was saying like, is it this or is it that? Right. So
Okay.
I'm leading
Yeah.
her in. Now this was like one of my very first sessions that I ever did. So, when you're taught online and not in person, I don't know. They mention leading questions, but you don't think about it until you're in and you're doing it, right?
right?
And
Yeah.
then you go back and listen and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that was a lot." So, what happened is I posted the video to TikTok because it was talking about parallel universes. And at the time, I was doing a lot of research on parallel universes and all the things. It had some really awesome information, but people only wanted to talk about how I was leading her into the answers.
Yeah.
There was a lot. Now in that session, that person regressed into a life where she was a child that was like severely, severely abused and beaten and like left to die on the side of the road in Texas. Her whole family would still be alive today, like that child's family. And so after the session, I like got to digging and I was like, oh my gosh.
So you found the
Yeah. I
Wow.
found the case and everything, and I was like, probably not going to post this one, just because that,
Right.
That's interesting you say that because my murder life there, I think one of the children from that life is still alive today. I just have a feeling
that would not surprise me.
because she would have been born in the 50s. And so, yeah, because I died in 63.
You have to think like it's like a board game, right?
I can map out the fucking players because you know how Dolores says if you don't forgive, you're wrapped up in karma with people, and you'll come back and do it into this under different, with the same people under different circumstances. I can map out I could map out people in my family that are in that life karmically tied to it. Like
Yep.
it's fucking wild.
I can definitely see that. I had been doing sessions in the beginning, and somebody told me something about running into a parallel life of yours.
Whoa, dude.
Like me interacting in my everyday and then running into somebody, that I also interact with, but it's a parallel life of mine.
I've thought about that too.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's why I'm like, some of these people that you're like, you're so familiar to me.
Yes. Well, and the problem is with most parallel lives, you will not connect with that other person. Like you will not like them. You won't get along.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Interesting.
No matter
Well,
what
yeah, because
you do.
they're different. Yeah, because there's a part of them that's different.
Yes. And so I can think of, I don't know, a few people that I have no doubt in my mind that was likely a parallel life of mine, because the way that we clashed, it wasn't a normal clashing.
So you think you can run across yourself?
Yes. Parallel.
Interesting. Because I've thought about that, Stephanie, with some of our stuff, it overlaps. Like in the 1800s, like there's a lot of activity going on in the southern Southwest states,
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're like, how the fuck is that possible? Yeah, but I don't know. The deeper we go in the shit, it blows my fucking mind.
I was going to say, if you want to go a little bit deeper and take out the human consciousness part, right? Time is an illusion, so time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So everything is happening right now as we're talking, right?
Yeah.
Well, and to me, that sounds crazy because that means 1800s is happening right now.
That's deep, man.
So, Abby, have you experienced that when you guys are in a session and viewing, that they are conscious of you being there in that moment and respond to you?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, we have a story for you.
Oh yeah,
I want to know. Tell
And
me.
so
God.
It's happened with other clients as well. Like one girl was like, they're looking at us. We're playing on the stairs in a castle, and they're looking at us. They just heard me talk to you. And then Stephanie and I have had several situations where the one just this last weekend, herself as a young boy turned and talked to her. And that was actually part of his gift in that lifetime, as he could see he could see into but you
Okay.
you could see
Okay, so I take that back. I have had that happen the way that you explain the story. Okay, so in one of my regressions, my client was on another planet. And on this planet, they were preparing for war, I guess, or battle or something, right? And so they were all gathered around, and there was a bunch of these blue beings. And he kept saying, we have to leave. They're going to notice that we're here. We have to leave. They're going to notice that we're here. And I was like, who's here? And he was like, me and you, we shouldn't be here. And they're going to notice. And at that moment, he said, he knows that we're here. We have to get out now. And I was like, holy shit.
Oh my God.
What just happened? And I need to go back and listen to his session, because I remember that and he said, he's looking at me telling me I can't be here. You shouldn't be here. This isn't part of.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But having the little boy turn over and
dude, the whole scene, the whole fucking scene changed when he started reacting to me. All of a sudden we were in this different space, the room that he was in. Cause I don't know, it was just fucking weird. He was completely aware of me, and he was like, and I asked him, I was like, why are you here? Cause he was in a hospital or whatever, not a hospital, but a doctor's office. And he's like, oh, they say I'm not right in the head. And he laughed. And I was like, how come? And he goes, because I talk to people that aren't there or aren't real. And he looked at me and was like, I don't think you're real. Oh. And it was funny because we both chuckled, because it's well, yeah, you're talking to me right now. I'm not really there,
Oh my gosh.
And then I asked him, I said, so should I wear something from your time? Does this bother you what I'm wearing? And he's like, no, actually wear what you're wearing, because he knows that I'm not real. Because there's times dead people will come and talk to him, because he's this beacon, and they're dressed like the people of today, or of his day, and so he doesn't know how to differentiate who's real and who's not, and so people like see him talking to other people and like all this stuff. But like luck of the draw, he gets a doctor who actually can kind of do the same thing. So he like believes the boy and tells the mom like it's fine, we'll just monitor him because he's not losing his reality. He's still with reality. He's just, has a vivid imagination.
Okay.
But he ended up growing up being, oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say okay, Stephanie, this is also what bothers me when I'm editing the audio. Like I'm learning a little, like I learn how I channel as I edit this audio because it's fucking hilarious. I have the same pattern. And like that life, there's so much fucking audio. Like that life had so much detail. Like that dude collected so much information. And she was in this life with me. We were both detective. Okay, so this is what I got wrong. Okay, so I was a private investigator for a really long time. I started as a kid and I used to like use my intuition to like get secrets and like get answers that they wanted, whatever. And then it kind of started to evolve into like crime and like solving stuff because, I could sense that what was really going on. Like the town thought I was crazy and that I was talking to the devil, but the other, people were like, but you're eerily accurate. So it's cool. And then you came into town looking for me. It wasn't like we just happened on each other. I sense this stronger when I'm editing the audio. You came from LA to Phoenix where I was. You came looking for me because you heard about me and you showed me the stuff. And of course I geeked out on it with you and the rest is history. Like I moved my family to LA, and we solved crime together or whatever. But like, it was just, there was like a case where I got something wrong and it shook me and gave me the yips. And like, I started to, like, I was so fucked. I started doing pastel watercolor shit. I was like, like I could not function. Like I kind of still have it to this day. Like, I think that's why I question myself so much. And, it's like the vicious cycle from that life is exactly how I feel right now with my intuition.
I think too, like when it comes to like getting something wrong, there's so many different timelines to things.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to Stephanie. I was like, if the Mandela effect is a thing and you could change the past. So if we can't find some of this information, is it because it's on a whole ass other timeline even,
It's
like
very possible.
Oh yeah. Like, oh, this is fun. You should be our guest a lot because I love talking to you. This is so much fun.
So I had this session, and Stephanie, I think I talked about this in class. I did this session where a woman regressed into a life as a gray. Okay. So 2 days, 1 day before her session, I literally saw a gray, like saw it in my house.
Oh my God.
And I had this telepathic communication with this being. And I remember my very first thought was like, is this it? Like, are you taking me away? Like,
is this my abduction?
Right? Like, this is not, I read about this. Is this what this is? And I remember it, like, it was like, he was offended. He could not believe I don't know, like, I want to say he or she, but it felt very like genderless, right? They, I guess I should say, like they were offended. They couldn't believe that I said that. Like, what? And I'm still like, what are you doing here? And they were literally just like, oh, just looking around, just seeing how you live. It was the wildest interaction ever. Okay,
that is so cool.
I had my session and the client regresses to this life and she's a gray. At one part of the session, when she's channeling this gray energy, we connect that she is aware of the gray because she has also seen it. Okay. Now we're also connecting that this gray is still alive. They are eternal. They never die.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he says that he, is eternal and doesn't die, she's laying down on the couch and she turns her head and looks directly at me with her eyes closed and said, don't you remember me? We just talked a couple days ago. It was her in my fucking house.
Whoa,
Oh my fucking
that's
God.
crazy.
That is
man.
so fucking funny. That's funny.
I literally was like, How do I fucking respond? What do I say?
I'd be like, yes. How are you?
We have a similar story.
I know I was gonna tell the story, but I wanted to wait till she was completely done because I'm working on my interrupting.
You're doing a good job. Good job.
But oh yeah, I left out this huge detail of that life. It was like this boy, like a lot of the like these higher beings come and talk to him and like teach him stuff. I still regret not using that opportunity to talk to them. We got to remember to do that next time.
We can go back in and talk to them.
I was just going to say that, or we could just go back in and talk to them. Yeah. But there's a higher being that I'm trying to establish communication with. And his name is Ricard. He's Arcturan. And we recently found out he's a higher version of me. So he's one that talks to the boy in that life. And he always tells him to talk in your head when you talk to me. Don't talk out loud. Like they all say that to him. The other higher being is this higher being that's with Stephanie, and his name's Herm. But he doesn't come to him as the gray alien. He comes to him as like a light, or like in a tree or in an animal, because the alien scares him, which is funny because they kind of do scare me. Just the look of them, they just are a little unnerving to me, but I paint them all the time. It's so funny. Like it's so funny. But yeah.
But I'm Herm though.
Yeah. We also discovered, sorry, I forgot to add that part. We also discovered that Herm, that's her. And it's so funny. So I'm like, dude, so how many other, I don't know. It opens the door to so many other questions. Like, who are these other beings? Am I a higher being to other friends and family of mine? Like, do I visit her other lives and teach her, because I know there's got to be lives where she's really open. Like, in fact, we should try to channel them, because you are very powerful channel as well. And so it would be really interesting to see your origin story with channeling and like the beings that came and coached you through those gifts and stuff. Like that would be cool.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh.
No, I'm talking to me.
Abby, I've had 2 successful past life regressions.
Oh my gosh,
now.
that's so exciting.
And this Sunday we're doing another one. First life was octopus, but the one that was, so last Sunday she did it, so I did it the Sunday before. I regressed to a past life where I ran with Billy the Kid.
No way.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was
fucking cool.
And so I like don't get any visuals at all. I was like, okay, I need to feel it, right? And then all of a sudden I like am rocking back and forth, and I'm like on a horse, and I like feel that I'm walking through a canyon, and I'm like, this is crazy. And then like another scene, I'm like ducking down behind a wagon, and I feel myself yelling at the guy next to me, and I'm like, okay, ready, run, and like we like run, and we're like in a shootout with the law and stuff, and it was pretty wild. So it's been really fun to finally be doing this and finally experience it from the other side.
That's so exciting. I know the last regression I did, I remember, and it was boring. There was nothing even, like, not for me anyway. For me, it was boring. But like I was really, really poor, and I saved some boy, and the boy happened to be like a queen, like her son. And so they invited me to this, like, I don't know, whatever the hell you call it, dinner gathering, because we're talking like 1700s, a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I went to the scene where I was like in this dress, like the queen basically had given me one of her dresses to wear, but I felt so out of place. And I felt it like in my body to a point where it almost pulled me out of the trance.
Wow.
Because that feeling of I don't fucking belong here. Like this is, I felt like I didn't belong. I almost felt like very unsafe. Like this is not safe for me to be here because my class was so far from, where I, but I'll never forget that feeling of get me out of here. Like take me out of this scene. I don't.
No, I feel you. It's crazy how much it really does, how you feel the impact of shit. Like there was a life where my village was raided, and I took my siblings and my friends took their, like we all had this hideout and this fort, kids growing up in the Scottish Highlands. We thought we were taking them to safety, and they went to go back and see what's going on in the village, Well, the kids got kidnapped by the British, but we get to the like I literally saw it in my head as well, but I like when it was just an empty under the tree and like they were not there, it was just like my chest felt completely hollow, like it was almost hard to breathe. It was the most surreal feeling. I don't know. It was crazy.
Yeah, some of those
Hello.
emotions just like cut so deep and through
Yeah.
lifetime after lifetime, and yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a lot to, have to re-experience those emotions. And even still, I found like when I take clients into like the movie theater setting or the third party setting, they're not having to like relive like the physical of it, right? But the emotional part of it still, I feel like it hits them just as strong as what it would if, the soul was back in the body. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, because I also think what the movie theater does is it cuts through what you blocked out, really, because you're still feeling it. Like I've still cried and I've still, whatever in there, but like I cannot get to what I've blocked out unless I literally go into a third party or the movie theater. Like that's the only time I could get through the blocked out shit. It's weird to me because it's like when you're in it, it's like I could handle it. That's why I'm here. Show me, but it's like shit really, it's funny. And it's funny the shit you block out too. That's what I found fascinating going through this, like going through my own stories, but also going through her stories and what she like the stuff that's tripped her up.
No, I mean, I get it. I've also found too. So I feel like the movie theater and the third party typically becomes relevant when physical pain would be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I honestly feel like it's blacked out like that to protect you. So Dolores Cannon had one session where she regressed a woman who went into a life where she was hung. And she actually had a physical reaction to that.
Oh, wow.
Being hung. But Dolores Cannon didn't have like the movie theater thing, like the third party viewing. Like she took them through it. And so I think that's part of trying to figure out ways to do it remotely, because you don't want to do it where you don't want a client to have a physical reaction like that. And so I feel like the higher self will protect their client.
It also, I mean, if you're there in the scene, it's like you're literally in it, reliving it. So yeah, it makes sense, why a lot of stuff just isn't there and is blocked out, because it's literally, because it's funny, the life I was murdered, like when I was going through that life and just being in the house, I put myself in my childhood home in this life's childhood home. And and recalling it, like I did not feel safe being in that house to recall these scenes. But I mean, the scene still played out and the things happened that happened. But yeah, the scene, the way it looked like my childhood home in this life. It was really strange to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting. And they say too, like, well, this is like in the dream state, right? And say you're like dreaming of being in a room. How you feel in that room is supposed to signify the opposite of like how you feel in life, essentially. So say you're running from something, right, in a dream, and you go into this room and you end up in your childhood home, right? And like you're instantly calm and you feel safe. And then you go into another part of the room and something is wrong and you no longer feel safe, right? Like think back to how you felt in childhood. And so like with me, when I have dreams where like I'm running from something, my safe room is always my grandmother's living room. It's the weirdest thing. Like as soon as I reach like my grandmother's living room in my dreams, like I know my night tear's over. Is that weird?
No, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, it's really interesting. I love all that. Yeah, I love that.
And that's been happening to me literally my entire life. And
Wow.
I just turned 38. So even still to this day, I have dreams where I'm terrified and then I'll open a door and there's grandma's living room and I'm like, ah.
You know what? Okay, so I haven't had the dream in a while, but which I should go into this life, but I keep having recurring dreams where it's the feeling. It's like I just accidentally killed somebody. And I attach in my dream, I'm like, oh my God, now I'm gonna go to jail. Everybody's gonna, and I won't be with my kids, that are gonna grow up without a mother, like all of those feelings. Or if I tried to run and hide, like it's just like literally the paranoia, but all of the crazy thoughts and feelings of accidentally murdering someone and what that does to your life. Like that has been a random ass theme in my dreams, right? And then
Wow.
I think we asked in a session, but I didn't go into the life, but it turned out like there was a life I was like a mercenary and I accidentally killed our queen in a
Okay.
raid or something like that, but I accidentally killed her, like, and I thought it was someone else, and yeah.
Right.
And like nobody found out in the life, but I was just like looking over my shoulder all the fucking time. Like I was like anyone,
Oh,
it was
paranoid.
just, yeah, the paranoia, all that shit,
I have a lot of regressions where my clients regress into lives where they take another's life. I wouldn't say a lot, but
I've wanted to know that if I have those lives.
there has been quite a few of them. And like some of them have been like I had one person regress into a life where she was she was a girl, she was Caucasian, and she lived in like Mississippi, and her dad owned the plantation. So she was essentially like the slave owner's daughter. She ended up falling in love with one of the slaves, got pregnant. The opening session, like the opening part that we went into, this girl was hiding in the woods and she had just given birth to the baby and she was suffocating the baby.
Whoa, dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like there have been some times where I'm like, what did you just say? What? Like
I know. I was
like
gonna
what
ask
did you just say?
because I
like,
was gonna
because-
ask you those kind of questions, like what's some of the craziest shit you've heard? Like, yeah, I want to
Yeah.
know. Tell me.
So like in that same life, so she killed her baby in the beginning. Her dad ended up finding her. Her dad ended up killing the slave. She ended up killing her dad and
Oh
leaving
my
her.
God.
I'm
Crazy.
telling you.
Wow.
So I also find that
Did they go into like the karma of that? Like what came
So,
of that karmically?
Yes. There is karma that is usually carried for many, many lives when you take the life of someone, whether it was accidental or on purpose. I feel like when you're like a serial killer, I don't believe that your soul goes to the same vibration as ones that are not. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It's
So
like they kind of belong in the lower density anyway.
Right, because of how heinous, right? I mean, on a soul level, I try to understand what would make a soul agree to take a life like that. Because they say
Mhm.
everything is pre-planned, right?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that a serial killer's life is pre-planned, which I still have.
Well, I mean, if you put it in a sense that maybe the victims needed a violent end, because
Yes.
maybe they
Well,
have karma they're working through with
I was going to
violence,
say, now if we get deeper, everything is pre-planned. So the victims chose to be the victims.
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Like it's just it's crazy. It's crazy to me. But I think that they go into a lower density, right? So not saying that if you took the life of somebody in another life, you go into a lower density, but I feel like you have a lot of like karma that you have to pay off to make up for that.
Mhm.
Like I don't think it's something that just goes away, but I believe that all of us in past lives have had one of those lives. All of us.
Oh, I know. That's why I want to know yeah, I want to know mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do. Because that's the whole point. You came to experience everything. It's
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
about the experience, really. That's why you do what you do. It's just the
Yep.
experience of it all.
When I was a kid, and I'm talking young, like my kids' age, like my kids are 5 and 7, I was absolutely terrified of being abducted. Like my mom's, I'm laughing at myself because my mom says that she would like walk halfway and like wait for me. And so like the crossing guard would walk me from like the school across the street, and then I could see my mom. And she says that I would come like every day, like running, like screaming and crying, terrified that somebody was going to get me. And I had that. It was this. It was not. I have no idea why I had that fear, but I remember as a child it being over fucking whelming. Like, and it makes me wonder, like now at this part of my life, like, did I have a life where I was kidnapped? Like, I had to have. And it makes me wonder if that happened when I was around that age. Because
Right.
as I grew up, I grew out of it and it wasn't like, but thinking back, I can remember
Yeah.
bad.
I've had similar instances like that in my life. Yeah. There was a time in my life where I was so fucking scared and I could feel like someone's in the room and they're going to get me, you know, like, yeah, same thing. And then out of nowhere, it just, yeah, I went on with my life.
This has been a couple months ago, but I was standing in my kitchen. It was late. It was like midnight. I'm up all hours of the night, usually in the summertime when my kids don't have school. And I had just gotten my son to go to bed, but it was late. It was almost midnight. And I had this like overwhelming fear come over me that somebody was going to be banging on my door, like into my garage, which means they would have had to have gotten into my garage that's locked and shut down. And it lasted for about 30 seconds. It terrified me so bad that I started shaking.
Wow.
And as fast as I had the fear, it was gone. And then I heard like intuitively something about timeline shifting. And I was like, so was I feeling like
it was like happening at the same time in another life? I know, right? Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was wild because the like I said, like I started shaking. No, it was horrible.
Well, I had a similar situation like that was so fucking weird. And I wondered that too. Cause like I was like working out, you know, and I was doing a back extension. So I was on my stomach, right? Well, I was doing one and out of nowhere, like in the middle of my stomach, like kind of towards the top, like where your actual stomach is, you know, I had this searing pain. And like I had to like get up and like, you know, actually lay down. Like it was like really, I don't know. It was like this searing pain and I felt like I was going to throw up and then it was gone. I can't remember how I connected this dot, but there was a past life where I was stabbed in the stomach. And so I wonder if that was just like when I heard that, I immediately thought of that moment when I was working out. I was like, dude, I wonder if that kind of happened at the same time. You know?
Yeah, probably. You know, and I think that sometimes like our past life deaths were super traumatic. And how can you not? I mean, with the way that energy works and the way that residual energy happens, how can you not carry?
Well, and a lot of people are afraid of death. So if you're afraid of death as you're dying, yeah, of course.
So growing up, so on top of the fear of being kidnapped, I was terrified of death, of dying. It was only, mom says it lasted from like 5 to 6. And then I never talked about it again. But she said it was so bad that like I would keep her up all night crying about it. Because I didn't want to die. And I also had really, really bad migraines that pretty much disappeared after like age 6. The very first time I ever did a past life regression, I was regressed and I went into a life as a child. I was going somewhere with my parents and I was in a carriage and I was fucking around. I wasn't listening. I was doing whatever the hell I wanted. And I fell out of the carriage and the carriage ran over my head. I was 5 in that life.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And mom said that as soon as my 6th birthday came around, my migraines pretty much went away. I never talked about death or anything ever again.
Wow.
Well, you know what else is funny is, you know, when there's like these crazy things and you're like, well, it's got to be linked to a past life. So you like hypothesize what it could be, all these crazy stories. And then you find out, oh no, you just fell out of a carriage and it ran you over.
Right.
Because I was like, oh my God, somebody murdered her.
Right. Yeah, no, just clearly me not listening because I don't listen for shit in this life either.
That's funny. Okay, so you kind of went into it. So what was the karma from that crazy murder life where everybody was killing everybody, like the Tarantino life?
So that karma that woman had, and she had a few lives where there was a lot of karma built up.
But I mean, like, is she karmically tied to those people too? Like, are they in this
Yes,
life?
and in this life, they are not good people to her. They're horrible. Like family members like that are really abusive. Some of the people have come back like as lovers that are like ex-lovers in this life. One of her exes was actually somebody that she murdered in a past life. And
Oh,
in
wow.
this life, he was like horribly abusive to her. It's just interesting how you hear people say no karma doesn't exist. And then you
Oh,
get
yes, it does.
into this type of work and you literally realize that people are like living and walking their karma, even from hundreds of years ago.
You know what else is funny is like when bad shit happens, I'm always like, what did I do? It's like,
Right?
who did I wrong? Why is this happening? Because
Yep.
I'm like, I'm pretty nice to people, you know, I'm like, I'm good to my friends, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, well, your bank account doesn't seem to agree.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
Mounting.
say.
You know, so talking about karma and like residual energy, doing this type of work, I feel like as practitioners, we need to make sure that we are protecting ourselves enough so that we're not absorbing that residual energy
Yeah.
and then it wreaking havoc in our lives.
I want to hear more of your stories. Jesus, you have
Oh my
like really
goodness.
cool stories.
Tell me
No.
about some of the alien lives. I've only had a couple people that have regressed to alien lives, and every time I do, I'm like, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I feel like here lately, I've had just a ton. I've had a few lives here lately of people regressing into Atlantis.
Ooh,
So
nice.
one person regressed into a life of Atlantis, but they were like this lizard thing that
Oh,
lived in the water. And so they described the explosion through the perspective of being this animal living underground, like in the
interesting.
ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were
Um,
like there when it was destroyed.
when it was destroyed. Yeah. So
Wow.
so we watched it from that perspective. And then I went back and had them be a third party and watch it from a third party perspective. So they could describe what was happening on the outside rather than in the ocean.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I had another one, like just like a couple days later, where she was a student of mine and she regressed into a life of Atlantis, but she did work with like this high priestess in Atlantis that was like glowing this like fuchsia pink, this bright pink color.
Mm.
And she said after the session, she messaged me and she found this article online talking about a high priestess that had a pink aura and would have been alive towards the end of Atlantis. I was like, well, how
Interesting.
crazy is that?
Yeah.
That's cool. That is super cool.
I've had several people. So I love it when they regress to planets in our solar system. That's what
Mhm.
I like. So I've had a lot of people that have regressed on Venus.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've been to
Yes.
Venus. That's my favorite. I love going to Venus.
Well, and it's interesting because everybody that regresses to Venus usually is there like before or at the end of life on Venus. And they all of them, every single damn one of them explain how the volcanoes took over. And that basically they tried building houses underground, right? And so there are still underground living like beings like in the ground. Like before, like at the end of Venus being wiped out would have been dinosaur era for Earth, basically.
Well,
Hmm.
see, I got a theory about dinosaurs. I believe that they're still here. They're just in another dimension. And
Girl,
when
oh my
when
God,
they
I have
die,
had
their
sessions.
bones show up on this side of in
Oh.
our dimension. I heard that theory and I completely believe it. I also think they exist in Hollow Earth. I really do. I think they're alive and well in Hollow Earth.
I have actual sessions on TikTok where the higher self is explaining that the dinosaurs didn't die off. They just shifted into another dimension because
Mhm.
they were done with ours. Our dimension
Yeah.
could no longer hold them. And so the
Interesting.
higher self says that every once in a while you'll get glimpses of them. I don't know, 6 or 8 years back, somebody uploaded a video of like a literal pterodactyl flying in the sky.
Dude, I swear to God, I saw a fucking pterodactyl fly in the sky because I saw the wingspan and because it was the wings that looked odd to
I
me.
remember
I'm
when you
like,
texted me that too. That's funny. I
yeah,
forgot about that.
because I
Who's the
was
one that picked up the pterodactyl? Was it me or you? I can't
uh
remember. We were both the pterodactyls, right?
well, I don't know. I can't remember, but like it was the funniest shit ever because I just saw it fly. I was like, huh, that looks like a pterodactyl. And I joked about it, but like the more I think about it and then I hear shit like that, I'm like, dude, I bet that was fucking real because I swear to God, because I joked with Stephanie about it. I was like, dude, this weed ain't that good. It's like I'm seeing pterodactyls out here.
You're
But
peering
yeah,
into other dimensions.
I guess so, dude.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, so think about like Bigfoot,
Oh yeah.
mermaids. So I believe that those are interdimensional beings. We have never caught them. Like, and I think that's why a lot of people can't get them on video because I think that they accidentally end up in our dimension. And that's why we see them only for short periods of time.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Bigfoot's here on purpose. I think he knows what he's doing, but I think he avoids because I don't know. I channeled information on him and he like goes in and out of dimensions and stuff, but
Yep.
he doesn't like the humans. He's not really keen on the humans, so he tries to avoid us.
Mm-hmm.
They try to avoid us at all costs, But mermaids, man, dude, that shit, I believe, yeah, completely interdimensional. All of them are, I believe. And I think I saw in a channeling because we discovered that like Stephanie was a Nessie
Mhm.
and she goes between a hollow earth and here all the fucking time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's one of my concurrent incarnations right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I have one in there too. And when I just saw dinosaurs. So I was like, maybe I'm a dinosaur. But my dinosaur obsession, because I believe everybody has a dinosaur animal they're obsessed with. Like growing up as a kid, that was the one they always wanted to be and play with. Mine was always pterodactyl.
Oh,
And
that's
so
great.
I wonder if I was a pterodactyl.
I don't know. I'm just telling you guys now, if I am out somewhere and I see a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex, I'm gonna shit myself.
Oh man. I know, right? I would be just don't move, just stay still. I can't see you. That's what Dr. Grant said.
How do I make myself interdimensional?
No, dude, if I saw, I know, right? If I saw
Just jump
fucking,
timelines.
yeah, I would just be still. I probably would be still, not by choice. I would be frozen in fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
With piss running down my leg.
Hopefully that scent doesn't attract them more.
I know, right? He's like, I smell a kitty. So how many of your past lives have you gone into? Like, have you gone into a ton or just like skimmed the
No,
surface or?
I have really honestly just skimmed the surface, under 10.
Oh, wow.
In the beginning, I was super interested in doing the sessions on everyone else, but not so much on myself. And I think a lot of it is because like I've been through a lot of trauma in this life. And I knew that there's a lot of stuff that I had blocked out. And I knew that if I was going to do this type of work on myself, they were gonna show me that stuff. Right. So I did go through a period of time where I really had to do my own inner work. And so I just didn't go under a whole lot. Now that I've worked through all of that stuff, I am so weird about who I let put me under, if that makes sense. Like, I have to completely trust you. And if I find anything like off, like energetically, like I don't want anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also say, so I've been doing it full time for 2 years now. For the first year and a half, I was doing 5 to 10 sessions every single week. I didn't have time to explore on my own.
Yeah.
Like I have that kind of time to do now. So I've probably only skimmed the surface. I myself have gone into like 2 Palladian lives, but the rest of them have all been Earth lives.
Nice. What were
Have
the
you found,
Palladian
like-
lives like?
So in one Palladian life, I was a male, but I was like a healer of some sort. So I can still see it in my head. So like my skin was blue, but I was really freaking tall. And in one part of my regression, I went to a fountain. I would like use the water and the fountain to like do the healing, but I was healing people like by masses. People would come up to me and I would say something and run water over whatever I was healing. And then they would just, boom, they were healed and they would walk away. Another life, I was a female and I was born into like a family of healers. I remember having this feeling of being so incredibly connected to my family in that life. Like we lived in a like communal living, but it was so advanced and fancy. Like I remember that. I remember think of just like the Empire State Building. Okay, really tall building. There are families that would accompany this building, but like the first 10 floors is one family and then the next 10 floors is another family. So it was massive. And
Wow.
I remember like there being like 20 or 30 people that I lived with, but I felt so much immense love and connection with them. And that my family was known for healing through the dolphin energy, actually going to the beach and working with dolphins, which was really cool.
Wow.
Whoa, dude.
Do you feel a connection with dolphins in this lifetime before you knew that?
I always have. Actually, as a kid, I was like a Lisa Frank weirdo.
Oh,
Oh my God, me
Me too.
And I'm pretty sure that every dolphin Lisa Frank poster like that was out there, I had taped to my walls. I was obsessed with dolphins.
That's cool.
It was a little ridiculous.
It makes sense though, once you learn
Yeah.
that.
It does. It does.
That's cool. Yeah, whenever we were looking for the origins of like our soul and things like that, or planetary origins, I can't remember. I think I came from Sirius originally, but then I spent a lot of time in the Pleiades. But
Okay.
I have a current incarnation in the Pleiades on the Pleiadian Council right now.
Nice. I've always been told that like I originated in the Pleiades, and like that's like where the majority of my lives have taken place.
Oh wow.
Because like that's home for me.
Mm-hmm.
One of my guides, that's so interesting that you say that, because one of my guides is on the Palladian Council.
Stephanie and I she had asked in one of the sessions why we weren't remembering our dreams at night. And it came out that at night we travel
the
in the
Pleiadian
astral, yeah,
Council.
and report back to the Palladian Council.
Whoa.
We're here like doing research on human behavior and the readiness for humans to have open contact and just like the social demeanor right now, basically.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. So
plus we also help the Pleiadians just understand the humans. They just find us fascinating because a lot of them haven't had the human experience yet. And
right.
so they find it extremely fascinating. They
Yeah.
just want to know everything.
So I was having a dream one night. Like my dreams can be really insanely vivid. In my dream, I was communicating with who I believe was somebody from the Palladian Council. Like the energy that I felt from them was insane. The blue skin was like you say blue skin, but it wasn't just like blue skin. It looked like glittery, like
Mm-hmm.
just not of Earth. And in my dream, I was me, Abby, talking to this being, and I was sitting down and they were telling me something, and I was writing. I was writing as fast as I could fucking write. I felt myself waking up as Abby. And in the dream, I told this being, "You've got to talk faster. I'm waking up now." And boom, I was awake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything of what you
No.
were writing when you woke up?
Nothing. All I remember is like the overwhelming, like love energy feeling that I had with him in my presence. That's it. Like if I try to like visualize myself, like if I try to pull the dream back, right? I can see myself writing, but I don't think I'm writing in English
Mm-hmm.
because it's not legible. I couldn't tell you what it was.
Oh, are you able to see it? You just can't make it out?
I mean, to me, it looks like scribbles.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Like that's the best way I can explain it.
Right. I wonder if you could program yourself, like in a hypnosis session, to remember the translation to English upon awakening. and if that would work for you.
I didn't think about that.
The reason I say that is because that's something that Dolores Cannon had, I think in The Custodians, there's something where she like programs them to remember a specific scene or specific writing or something so that it can come out in their art upon awakening and they can recreate a visual of it.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
That
so
would be
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So that's definitely a thing that's possible.
Hmm. That's cool. Now I've had people like talk in light language
Oh.
and then like me say like, can you translate that to human language? And then they'll translate it, but it always blows me away when they start like talking
What
in
does
light.
that sound like? Like imitate it. Do it right now. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't know. It sounds like nothing you've ever heard.
Interesting. I don't know what I would
Um,
do if I would even know that that's what they were doing.
I need to see if I can find that girl's session. Her name's popping up in my head. And I'll see if I can't like find it where she was talking in light language.
Yeah, I'd
But
love to hear that.
it's not like anything you've ever heard before.
Right.
It would kind of sound like gibberish, just babble talk.
Uh-huh. Interesting. And why was she speaking in that language? Was she regressed to a life where she was like a light being?
Yep, she was regressed to a life where she was a light being, and the light being started speaking through her.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool. I'd be like, I need to ask some questions, but I don't know what to ask.
right.
I
How
know
do
that's half my battle with Ricard. Like I want to go sit and talk to him and stuff, but I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, hey, whatever. Like the coolest thing was the first time he introduced himself to me. He showed me where he was, and he was in this pod. It was like this living, like this plant-like thing that was just walking on the ground, constantly just walking on the ground, right? And it's like has these pods attached to it, and he just lived in one of them. And then when you're ready to go, you could just fly off, and then when you get, I guess there's a different ship up in space or some shit, but it's just this little pod that you live in. I asked him, why aren't you on the ground? And he's like, it's too cold. And I was like, interesting. And I was like looking
Weird.
around. I was like looking around, looking outside. Like there was like cloud, and it was chilly. I felt it. Yeah. Like I was looking outside
Right.
at the cloud and everything. Yeah, like I could see it walking on the ground. It was like the weird, yeah, it was cool.
Ricard is Stephanie in a concurrent incarnation on the Palladian Council.
Yeah, he's the being that was in that detective life talking
Oh,
to.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
he's my higher, but like a higher version of me.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, we channel like almost every week. So we've gotten really deep really, really fast. And then, we'll dip our toes in and then we're like, tell us more and we'll go deeper. And that's how we got all these really wild ideas.
I love that so freaking much.
Each week we go in and we like ask more and go deeper and deeper. And so, yeah, it's been really cool though. But it's been kind of like a fast track healing, a lot of change in a really short period of time,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's been really cool. It's been an awesome journey and
It
more to
has.
come. We've been kind of incorporating like after certain past lives, depending on what the trauma is, incorporating like full moon releasing ceremonies to like just help further the healing and stuff. And that's kind of what's allowed me to release the blocks. I ended up having a block on my throat chakra from a past life in the Salem witch trials. And I placed that throat block because essentially I was killed for spells or being a witch.
Mhm.
And I was killed for actually accidentally killing somebody else, but it was because I was already deemed a witch, kind of a thing. So,
Okay.
and then I had a block on my crown chakra from a lifetime after I sought some pretty gnarly revenge after my village was attacked and
Well, and
everyone I loved was killed.
it's interesting to note too that she like channeled other beings to like take over and enter through her crown chakra, and that helped her in battle and shit. Like,
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was like
yeah, so
a past life in Aztec.
Okay.
So yeah, we would like do ceremonies around the fire to channel like strength and other energies in battle.
Nice. I love that though. That's
Yeah, but that's kind of like what got me. Well, I believed after the fact that that kind of is what allowed me to go a little far with the revenge. And so I regretted it and it didn't change anything anyway because it couldn't bring my wife back. And so I put a block on my crown chakra to avoid that from happening again.
ah.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, it would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally did. So incorporated like some releasing ceremonies with the full moon to kind of write letters to my past self about forgiveness and moving on. And you've learned a lot since then and just kind of, solidify the healing process. So something that's really funny or really cool that we have found in past life regressions is when people regress to past lives where they're either famous people or they interact with famous people. I had a past life. Well, Stephanie is actually in the past life with me with Billy the Kid. And then
Hmm.
she actually also has a past life where she's like besties with Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, that
Oh,
shit came.
nice.
Yeah,
So
that shit was funny.
yeah. So do you have any experiences with yourself or other people where people regress to famous people or anything like that?
You know, I wouldn't say famous people, but I have had a couple of clients regress to lives where they are connected like with like famous government officials.
Oh.
I had a friend that regressed into a life as like the governor of Maryland. It was crazy because even she had no idea who this guy was. She never even heard of him. And after her session, we went and did research because we were like, this was oddly specific shit. Like, what the
Yeah,
heck?
For real.
absolutely.
And yeah, it was crazy. Like, we were able to literally everything that she said, like, everything matched up to his death, his wife's death, how many
Wow.
kids, their names. It just, and like the questions that we were able to ask about what's it like to be in office? What's it like to have information? Do you like it? She hated it. She hated being governor. It was not.
What time period?
So he died in 2018.
What?
Yes.
No fucking way. Holy
So it would
Yeah.
be a concurrent incarnation then?
A concurrent incarnation. Yes.
I wondered
Wow.
that because I have one going on right now in Spain. I'm like a boy in Spain right now.
That's and it's super interesting because in her current life, she's very school oriented. She's got several degrees. She's always learning. She's always growing. And in this life as governor, like, I mean, she went and got her, like, I think he had his doctorate in that life.
Wow.
But there was a lot of
Wow.
similarities between like the energy of like school and how
Yeah.
important, how important it was and all of those things.
So did she have any trauma from that incarnation in this one?
The one thing that they noted was that she, like, the karma kind of came back in her relationship. And that definitely matched up. But the one thing I will say is that this person, this governor, he was one of the good ones. Like, he was often recognized for being one of the good ones. And
I was just gonna ask that. What kind of a politician was he?
Yeah. he was a good one. And he even said that like he wanted to retire early and like they don't let you, like, you do what they tell you to do. And that's what so like in that life as governor, like you can make change, right? Like they say you can make change. It's very hard to make change because you're doing what you're told by people above you.
Well, yeah, you're just a figurehead. You're not really.
Yep. Like,
doing
she
what- yeah.
said the word that she used was feel like a real live puppet because you
Yeah.
hold this huge role where you're supposed to be able to make all of this change. But unless you're being told by above you that this is what's happening, like it doesn't matter. That was one thing that she didn't like.
And were there reptilian claws inside the puppet hands? No.
So it's so funny because that was the very first set like that I ever did, like with QHHT, like the one session that like started all of it for me.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about reptilians or any of that shit. I hadn't heard none of that yet. So no, there wasn't. However, I have often wondered if we were to go back like to that life, if there would be, because in every other fucking session there is.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you guys see that a lot, but I hear and I have sessions where people regress into lives as reptilians.
Yeah, I haven't
they're-
had that yet.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad.
Interesting.
Wow. Like, what do they do? What do they do?
So the reptilians are known for literally taking over planets. That is
Right.
Yeah.
that is the common theme in all of the sessions that I've ever done. Like they literally come in and blow everything up and just take over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Power, greed, that seems to be what's happening. So people will regress into lives where either they're part of the army and they're like preparing for battle. I had one client that was, I don't know if I can say that, like off around the neck area from another reptilian because she was refusing to go to war. Like
Oh, you could
Wow.
say it. You could say killed. It's okay. We say
Okay, well,
fuck and all that shit here.
so in the regression, the reptilian guy, like the leader of the army, like literally walked up to her and just slit her throat.
Oh, wow.
Like
Wow.
in the regression. And it wasn't one of those things like where we had to go into a third party. Like it happened very, very quickly.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, but I mean, that's what you do. Now,
Right.
Yeah.
I think because of the law of duality, there's always going to be good and bad. I think that there could be some good ones, but I think that if there's any here, they're not good. They have,
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for real.
So, and I've heard like the higher self say that like this has been a problem with them for like millions of years
Right.
on many different planets and many different dimensions.
Well, yeah,
So,
that's what happened on my Maldek life. Like there was
mhm.
one that like my father was a political figure, and I think it they targeted a lot of the people, but yeah, this one came and kidnapped my mom, and like we never saw her again. And like there was like this standoff too. Like I heard something and I looked and I see him standing there. And I jump out of my pod because he's got my mom. My dad's like, tell me to chill, like trying to talk to this guy, and he takes off. And
Yeah.
like, and I carried a lot of guilt. Like I like even thinking about it, I'm like, I should have fucking shot him. I should have just shot him. Like, what the fuck?
Oh,
And yeah, and it kind of like spurred me on to fight, because I was fearless in that life. I was pretty gung ho.
I've even done like regressions where people are in a life where like the reptilians come and take over, right?
Yeah, that's how it was in that life. Yeah, I
Okay.
was alive during. I don't know how long the battle was going on until the planet exploded. I died in battle, but I wasn't part of the explosion, the exploding of the planet. But I was there when they took over.
When
When
they
they
took
came
over.
and yeah, when they came and started taking over, like it was everything. Because like the buildings were so beautiful and like geometric, and they were made of glass and. It was actually this material that was like glass, but anyway, it was this really beautiful, and I saw like deep purples and oranges and greens that was really beautiful.
I
And
love
then as the battle kept going, the look of the landscape started changing. Like the buildings were more reinforced, and it wasn't like pretty glass all over the place anymore because it was just fighting all the time.
They also
Right.
used to live communally, kind of like how you were saying in the Pleiades. They had big community buildings that were connected to other big giant family community buildings. But once they were
Hmm.
battling the reptilians all the time, they had to scatter and it completely changed their way of life.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
and like in some of those lives, there is like where other beings will come and like rescue my client.
Oh,
And
Wow.
then they'll take him to like another planet. Or I've had some people that go to like a mothership. They literally call it the mothership.
hmm.
And then they live out the rest of their life in this mothership.
Damn.
So I had a client the other day who regressed to a lifetime on a planet near the star Sirius, one of the Sirius stars. They knew that the destruction of the planet was coming, but didn't know when, and they kept trying to stop it. And basically the cataclysmic event did come and wiped out everyone on the planet, all the families and stuff, but somehow the scientists and the people that were working on it lived because they were in the lab when it hit, and it was like in a reinforced something where they all survived. They ended up leaving the planet and going to a mothership and living out the rest of their days. They ended up, like they said, they felt like they didn't fit in, but they ended up giving them a section of the ship where they could kind of be on their own, and it was really sad, but it was really wild too to see the creatures. It sounded they had blue skin, so, but I know there's several species that have blue skin, but they were like a space-bound type species that lived in like what sounded like a biosphere.
And
So,
that's interesting that you say like that they felt like they didn't belong, because in my client sessions, they always say that, and they'll say that like there's like many species in this mothership,
yeah.
because it literally
Wow.
goes around picking up people from different planets,
Hmm.
so that that the planet is dying from.
Right. Yeah, they kept saying, I feel like they look down on us. They are way more advanced than us and they look down on us. So I think they may have been an eben, like a gray eben, and not like the cloned grays, because they exhibited a lot of emotion. So they weren't like the emotionless, like little clone grays that you think of. I think they were
Right.
more of the biological entity ones that were bigger from the sounds of it. But
Okay.
yeah, pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
She still carried the trauma of losing her family, like the sadness, the deep sadness, into this incarnation.
Wow.
So, yeah, pretty sad, pretty interesting though.
It's crazy how that can be done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I
Well, and how
know.
many
It's
people do you know that just like walk around, they're like, I just have like this deep sadness, but don't know why? Like depression and anxiety is so like almost a norm in our culture. And
Yeah.
it's like a lot of people, though, I've noticed don't really want to know the answers when they're given the opportunity either.
Yep.
I
They
have
do
a
not.
lot of
yeah.
people who cancel on me and things like that because they think they're ready and then they chicken out, you know?
Mhm. I will have people, like, it comes in stretches for me where I will have people that like book and pay and then never show up.
Oh, wow.
Never show up, never
Damn.
emails, never return to phone calls. Like they literally book, pay, and then just ghost. It's so
Wow.
Wow.
I wouldn't say that it happens a lot, but it's happened enough times that it makes you think like, for me,
It's
it's a significant amount of money. If I'm spending
I
$300
know.
on something, like you bet your ass I'm gonna show up
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, me too.
For real. Like that's an easy money for you.
Right, yes, yes.
But
But
no,
it often
that's
makes me
wild to
wonder,
me.
like, what? Because I send like numerous emails through like the website that I use. It sends like lots of reminder emails to let people know, like, your session's coming up in 48 hours and then in
Yeah.
24 hours,
Yeah.
So I do that. That way they can't say, I never got a message, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's weird. And I often wonder, like, is it because they were just like, I don't, do they chicken out? Like,
I don't get it. I just don't. It's just like story time. Like you can like the stories are so what comes out is so fucking fascinating and interesting and it just blows my mind that people are so afraid of it. It's like it's just you got to just look at it because that's really what it is. It's just story time that's incredibly healing. It's crazy. I don't it's the fastest way to heal because I don't know, it works.
yeah,
But I just look at it like story time. Like I'm so excited. Even in Stephanie's sessions now that she's channeling, I cannot wait for whatever comes out for her on Sunday. Like it's just I don't know.
It's what I
I
love
kind
about doing it too. It's like I get to be taken on all these journeys through time to these,
mhm.
learn about these cultures and these intimate details about firsthand experience of someone who lives in this time period and these interactions and, whatever comes forth. It's just I'm from a psychologist already point of view, and I already love, human behavior and stuff, and then having access to it like through time is just really, really cool.
It's
yeah,
so
it's
fascinating
awesome.
to me. Yeah, I just don't get it. Why people, it's like actual therapy is a lot more emotional and violent than past life regression therapy. Like it's so funny to me.
Yeah,
Like like the therapy people are in, that's gnarly to me, the idea of all that. It's so funny. I don't know.
yeah.
I should
No, I completely agree.
Abby, are you still doing classes? Are you still teaching people how to do this?
Yes, actually, I have another class. This will be the last class of the year, but it starts on October 16th.
Mhm.
And it'll be the last like live class that I have this year. Now, I can't decide if it's going to be like my last live class ever because I'm in the process of creating a self-paced course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I've got, 800 plus sessions and I really want to write about them. And so I'm going to kind of shift more towards writing. And I've been considering kind of like starting my own podcast where I talk about all of these crazy sessions that I have.
Oh, yeah,
But I
that'd be
would like
cool.
to interview like my clients that that had those sessions so that they
Ooh,
can
that'd
talk
be
about
cool.
it from their perspective, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I am still teaching. I've got a class that starts October 16th, but that'll be the last one for the year.
All right, awesome. And if people are interested in signing up for your class, how do they find you?
Yes. So the best place to go is to my TikTok. My handle is Psychic Medium Abby Ice, ISE. And then you can go to the link there and it'll take you right. It will take you directly to my booking so that you can book a class.
Nice.
Or you can go to my website, which is theangelicsoul.com.
Are you still selling crystals?
Yes, girl. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Actually, I was going through my inventory because like I pushed back on crystals there for a while because I was selling on Facebook. And like all of a sudden, I was having to chase people down to pay.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to back away from this for a while. So, yes, I sell on Etsy mainly. I've been trying to revamp my Etsy. So I've been like, all of my old stock, I've got like 30% off right now.
Oh,
And
nice.
as I add new stuff, that price, that like the percentage, it may go up a little, like up to 40% off. But I do still use Etsy for my crystals.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
why I've been house sitting and taking care of my grandma, and the fabric store was so freaking busy today, and I've been going, and I'm finally sitting down smoking a blunt, and I'm just like,
Yep.
it's like
You're
everything's
like,
going woo.
yep. You're like, all right, I'm checked out.
I just got done drawing the rest of my picture. It doesn't need any more circles, so I sketch now during my regressions and then now also during the podcast, but it's crazy. It like really helps me be in the zone and see what they're seeing. It's pretty cool. So I
Yeah,
have a
that's
little like
cool.
art page for each past life regression I do, and I send people pictures of their art after.
I like that.
Okay.
I
That's
like that. That's
cool,
really
actually.
cool. I worked on a painting while during your gunslinger one, but I also just snack and just sit there and listen. I just got my snacks. I'm just like, and then what happened? You know, hearing about that detective life, like you got to go in that one with your point of view, and I should go into the Billy the Kid life with the mob doc point of view because I was their nurse, or like I was a nurse, but I was like
She would
their
come out to
mob
the
doc.
ranch and help us whenever we got banged up.
Yeah.
She patched up whenever I was on the horse going through this little, what is it, a little canyon between like some not very high up. I got shot by an arrow through my back, like Achilles tendon. I was
Oh,
laying, I felt it. It was like the most piercing, crazy feeling in the session. And then, but we got away from them because we had guns and we were on horses, so we just like ran away. And then I was like, yeah, a lady like patches me up and fixes me up, and I'm out of commission for a while, and then we keep going further on, and then it's like, oh wait, you're the doctor.
No, it's funny because when she was explaining it, her higher self, like in my mind's eye, like looks at me and she's like, ask if you're in this scene. And I was like, what? And because she was like in the middle of recalling something. And I'm like, and so I was like, am I in this scene? And I felt so stupid asking it. And she like was like, yeah, you're the doctor or something. Well, I can't remember what you said. And then her higher self looked at me and winked at me. I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's cool. It was really cool.
Travis was a working lady down at the local
at the
The word
fucking-
that
at the local whorehouse. He was Madame. No, yeah, and the detective light because I was curious myself about it because I read like when new characters come into the scene, I always read them and their energy and like what they're about and all that shit. And I was asking if he was married, and I couldn't tell like what happened to his wife, but it was something that he doesn't want to talk about, kind of thing. And so there's this whore at the whorehouse that he likes to go see, and he like looks out for her, but she's too proud and like gets mad at him sometimes. And he like set her up with this good job so she could like, make an honest living. But like it was really cute because like he kind of put this woman, in a good standing, I guess. I don't know. He removed her from the house of ill repute. It was sweet. It was really cute.
and it was Travis.
Yeah, it was Travis. Sorry. Yeah, I forgot that part. Because didn't he get too proud about money earlier that day, even?
Yeah.
It was so funny. Like, oh my God. It's just the timing of shit, It's just really funny to me.
Yeah, the synchronicities are crazy.
I know that life was nuts, just how much information. Because I think I'm at like 50 something minutes, and I'm not even to the part about, I'm to the part where I have the yips, but I'm not even to that funny part where, because like I'm doing all these pastel watercolors, and she literally comes to see me and is like trying to get me back on working again. And she's like talking to my wife, and like they're trying to, get me back and whatever. And she like comes in the room, and I'm sitting here like, doing my little watercolors with my like looking at the plants outside and just painting them, and she just looks at me and is like, what, are you going to support your family with these shits? Like, what are you doing? Like, get back to work. It was
We have
really
cases
funny.
to solve.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm an artist now. Oh, it was funny. But yeah, I'm not even to that part yet. And we have so much more to go. There's like, I can't believe how long this session was. There was so much information.
Yeah, and I just let you keep talking because so much was coming through. So I'm like, we'll just keep going.
I know. It was crazy. It was just crazy. That's what she does when she's done. That's how I know to cut off whatever thought I have. Wrap it up, Stephanie. Wrap it up. It's time to go. Stephanie's done her side.
No.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, thanks for joining us. It was
Yeah,
lovely
this
to
is
have you.
awesome. We'll have
This
to have
is-
you on again soon because this is fun.
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
we're
honestly,
not done picking your brain.
I was gonna say, if I wasn't so tired, I could keep talking for hours about this.
I know, her and I too. We talk about it, all the time.
We sit down to like have a session and it turns into like 5.5 hours of recorded audio.
I love that so much.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
We also wanted to let you guys know that if you have any questions about what we talk about, if there's anything that you want to know about the universe, email us at the deependpodcast2024@gmail.com.
Yeah, totally. We'll do our best to answer your questions and it'll be fun. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, listening to our podcast, and following us into the depths of the subconscious and the unknown.
Into the depths of your soul.
Come find me and book a reading on www.mutablemystic.com. Find me on Facebook at Mutable Mystic. You can find me on Instagram at mutable_mystic. Also, if you'd like to check out any of my music, you can find me on SoundCloud /stay, STE_music.
And you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook under Quantum Healing with Steph Green, and book your own past life regression session, or you can send me a message on Facebook and we could talk about what you have in mind. And don't forget to like, follow, and share the Deep End Podcast on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in today.
Well, we can bend your mind next time. Always remember to ground your feet in the dirt and enjoy life with those gratitude glasses on. Pass this on.
The Deep End.
deep end.
Welcome to the deep end.
The deep end.
The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
It's deep, man.
Deep end. The deep end.